Today we're going to continue working on factoring trinomials, but in this case, we're going to move on to where the c value, the constant, the number that's by itself, is negative. Now, just to review what we've been doing for the last week or so, we've been factoring x squared plus bx plus c to find, and in order to do that, we find numbers that multiply to c, the constant, and add to b. And this was always plus c. So just to do a couple examples of what we've been doing, if we have x squared plus 8x plus 12, I want to find two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 8. And if you need to, you can list the factors of 12. Sometimes you can find this pair quickly, 2 and 6, multiply to 12 and add to 8. Sometimes you need to make a whole list. Then I'm going to write my factored form. It's x squared, so I have x times x to give me the x squared, and then I have plus 2 and plus 6. That's my factored form. In this example, x squared minus 10x plus 24, I want two numbers that multiply to 24 and add up to negative 10. Make sure that negative comes with the 10. Factors of 24, 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. 4 times 6 gives me 24. In order to add to negative 10, it has to be negative 4 and negative 6. And what happened in all of these examples, because we were multiplying to a positive number, we always had two positives or two negatives in our factored form. So what happens when we factor x squared plus bx minus c when that constant is negative? The rules are still the same. We still need numbers that are factors of c, numbers that multiply to c. But we need to remember how we multiply to get a negative. The only way to multiply and get a negative is to multiply a positive times a negative. So we're going to have to look for two numbers where one is positive and one is negative, and they multiply to c. Those numbers will still add to b, but one will be positive and one negative, so we can think of it as the difference of the absolute value of the factors must equal b. The factored form will always have x plus one number and x minus one number. The order does not matter. Again, you just need to make sure that the correct sign is with the right number. And the way that we can check that is that the bigger number will always have the same sign as b. The best way to look at this is to look at some examples. So the rules are the same. I want to multiply to my constant to negative 33 and add to my coefficient of x, which is 8. So I want to find numbers that multiply to 33. 1 times 33 and 3 times 11. Now, when they multiply, they're going to multiply to negative 33, which means one of these is going to be positive and the other one is going to be negative. So the difference between them will be 8. So if I look here, 3 and 11 are 8 apart from each other. I want to add to positive 8. 11 minus 3 gives me positive 8. When I write my factors, I have x, and this is minus 3, and x plus 11. The larger of the two numbers, the 11, has the same sign, it's positive, like the b value was positive. So I'm going to look at an example that's very closely related. Here I have x squared minus 8x minus 33. I still need numbers that multiply to negative 33, but now they need to add up to negative 8. So again, if I list factors of 33, I only have two options. I want them to multiply to negative 33, so one will be positive and the other will be negative, and they're going to add up to negative 8, which means I need to make the larger number negative. 3 minus 11 is negative 8. When I write my factored form, I have x plus 3 and x minus 11. The larger number, 11, has the same sign, it's subtracted, like the 8 was. A couple more examples. Here I have x squared plus 5x minus 6. I need numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to 5. So if they're multiplying to negative 6, it's 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. And be careful with this one. One of these needs to be positive and the other one has to be negative. 2 plus 3 is 5, but they both have to have the same sign, so it can't be 2 and 3. In this case, It's 1 and 6. 6 minus 1 is positive 5. My factors are x minus 1 and x plus 6. Last example, I need numbers that multiply to my constant, negative 18, and add up to negative 7. I'm going to find factors of 18. 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. I need a pair that adds up to negative 7, where one of these is positive and one is negative. So I'm looking for the pair that are 7 apart from each other. 2 and 9 are 7 apart from each other. If I need to add to negative 7, I need the 9 to be negative. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. So my factored form is x plus 2 times x minus 9. In the assignment for today, you're going to start with some problems like what we were doing last week where the constant is positive, and then you're going to do some problems where the constant is negative.